So today we're going to talk about systems and how to get things done in new construction home sales. In order to succeed at new construction home sales, you've got to have systems in place. You got to make sure you've got your days planned out, and you need to have systems to make sure that you're tracking everything. And you've got a lot of stuff that needs to take place from the time that somebody decides they want to build until the time that the hole is dug. So I made myself this board here, and I've got all these different categories. These are all things that need to get checked off on. I need to make sure that, these things are all taken care of before we can go in for permit. And so a good way to keep track of that, and again, if you're going to bring somebody on to help you, you've got this out in the open there. And one of the things I just did was determine with one particular client, whether the home needs to have the garage on the left side or the right side of the lot. And this is depending upon the grading plan that's there for the neighborhood. So I did that with this particular client here. That's the first thing that you want to do. The second thing that you want to do is get a preliminary plan drawn up. I got that back over the weekend. Next thing you want to do is get a preliminary survey stakeout showing the house on the property, making sure that there's no issues, that it fits. And that is something that I will send off to the surveyor and have him do next. Have somebody go out, look at the lot, make sure that there's not going to be additional trucking charges. So if you're building a big house on a property and you've got houses on both sides and there's nowhere to go with all that dirt when they're digging, there's going to be some additional trucking expenses. So that's one of the things that you want to make sure. Then it's taking that preliminary plan and getting a full set of blueprints drawn up. Then it's getting things out, getting the selections process started, which I did with this particular client. Once you've got a full set of blueprint and your selections, you can go in for the Architectural Control Committee's approval. They'll need a blueprint, they'll need to know what colors you're doing, and then they'll approve the plan. That's something you need to do before we can go in for permit. And then we've got finalize and sign off on the prints. We need to have those blueprints signed off on before we can go in for permit. Once the prints are finalized, we can order the stakeout. We need a stakeout before we can go in for permit. Need the selections signed off on before we can go in for permit. They need to have all of the selections done before they can go in for permit. Last but not least, in for permit. So you may or may not have all of these things that you are responsible for, but whatever items you're responsible for from the time that a client commits until the time that the hole is dug, throw it up on a board, make sure you're getting everything checked off on. If you've got one particular customer that you need to make sure that that hole gets in the ground in the next few weeks, focus on that one. Make sure to prioritize everything that you've got to do. You know what's got to get done here in order for that hole to get into the ground. So that's definitely one of the more important tools to set yourself up on.